Well, I'm sitting on my bed. Yeah, I've been out for a walk. I just come in now before the rain came down, and I'm going to do a video, and I'm going to zoom in now for you to see the view. Although there's not much of a view because it started raining, and I was lucky to avoid the showers. And you can see the sellotape on my windows there because I've sellotaped them because they're so old, and the draft coming in here is unbelievable. Of course, I've been on to the council, but we'll go talk to the wall. Anyway, I'll zoom in now for you to see the view. Okay, get in. Oh, it's come back now a bit. Get in as much as I can now. Right, not going in so far. Right, there we are. Of course, there's not much of a view, but shall I zoom in a bit more? No, if I zoom in a bit more, I'll probably go again and you won't see much. Yeah, I'm tired now. I've just enjoyed a walk, and that's the care worker from next door going because she's got a few care workers coming and going. Yeah, I'm going to do a video this morning about my first and second wife. Now, of course, I'm 71 now, and I come to the conclusion that we're on this planet to learn. The purpose of life is that we learn about our experience and so forth. And being married to the first and second wife has been the best education about life I've ever had. And it's also been the hardest because when I got married to the first wife, I had no idea what she was like. I took her upon a face value because she looked good and so forth. She had a nice personality. And that to me summed it up. But, they say you can't judge a book by the cover. And that was true with my first and second wife. Because I say second wife, she was so much like my first wife. And they do say you tend to go for the same person again or somebody similar. Anyway, when I was married to the first wife, 11 years, and always working underground, earning good money, and my mother always told me, hand your pay over, don't be like your father, not giving you pay and all that. And so I used to give my pay and get pocket money and just go out on the weekend and have a drink with the boys. And we had 3 beautiful children, and we had a car, we had a nice house in the Ashes in the Minka, and everything seemed to be good. But as the years was going by, I was slowly finding out my first wife couldn't handle money. And I mean, she could not handle money. I used to give her good money, but she used to waste it on things we didn't need. And then we had no money left to pay the bills. And it was embarrassing at the time because I was drinking in the black in the Minka with my friends, and they were saying, oh, they seen a bailiff come into our house and all that. We were getting the car repossessed. I couldn't believe, I was giving her good money and she just couldn't handle it. And we were falling out over this all the time. And then after 8 years of marriage, she decided she wanted to work. She went to work in the open cast site of all people, in the canteen there, in Carway, Shan's open cast in Carway. And it seemed a good idea because she was having good money there now. And I then went afternoon shift, looking after the children for her in the day, so that she could go to work. And the youngest daughter then was a baby. I was changing napkins and bath, everything, you know what I mean? Well, I also changed the napkins of the other two as well when they were young. I always took my part in my married life to look after the children. I thought the world of the children. Anyway, so she goes to work now, and 3 years before we split up, this was now, and next thing I start finding out, she was having an affair. Now, the chap she was having an affair with was from Bryn Aman, and he was a businessman, and he had loads of money. You've got to believe it. So you see the mansion she lives in today. But, I was slowly finding this out in the years I was married, and we started falling out of it. But did I know or realize that my first wife, when she started working, having an affair, within a year, was planning to get me out and get this man in. And she managed to do that by working behind me now. I had no idea this was going on now. But she was saying lies to her friends. They all knew she was having an affair, you see. My kids knew she was having an affair. But she was claiming how she was having an affair, telling them all, because I was very violent. And I was off my head and all that. And in the end, she wouldn't sleep with me. She would sleep with my children and telling my children. And, well, my youngest daughter was a baby then. But my two eldest, Melanie and Stuart, she was telling them she was sleeping with them because I was too scary. She couldn't. She was afraid of me, and she was telling her friends. And I even know, years later, I got one or two women living in the Ashes of Minka who don't talk to me because they thought the world of my first wife, and they still believe her that and that I was hitting her because she was telling them all now that I was hitting her and so forth. Now, she had this personality. Everybody liked her. You see, she had a lot of friends, and she had a bubbly personality, and she seemed to be winning them all over. You see, she was turning everybody against me, making out that I was a monster and arguing with her that I was hitting her. And I admit I was arguing with her. And I was finding out that she was having an affair. I was going off my head, and we were having some nasty vows, but I never hit her. You see. But thinking back, better if I'd let her carry on, because I remember turning around after 3 years, coming at the end of my 11 years marriage, after 3 years for having an affair, I said to her, it's got to stop now and I'm going to sell the car. And she turned around and said, you'll be out before the car, she said. Because little did I know now, she already had a solicitor. She was planning everything behind my back. And the next thing I knew, I came back from work. She'd gone to live with her mother. And I had a court summons within a few days to turn up in the county court in Carmarthen. And I had no idea what was going on. I was so laid back, and I went to court, and next thing I knew, she was there with her solicitor. I didn't even have a solicitor. I thought, why have a solicitor? I've done nothing wrong. And her solicitor was saying that she was afraid of me, that I was hitting her, and judge looked at me and said, you're out in 14 days. And I was out in 14 days. After 11 years of marriage, I lost everything. I lost everything in the house. I only had the clothes on my back. Oh yeah, I mustn't forget, I had my Beatles LPs and singles. I had a good collection of the Beatles music. I had managed to salvage them. And I lived with my brother and sister and my sister-in-law, sorry. And it was the biggest shock in my life that she did all this behind my back and I couldn't even see it. Anyway, it took me 5 years to pick myself up. And by the way, my eldest daughter now, Melanie, and Stuart don't talk to me because to this day they believe that I was the one hitting her and they have no idea what I went through. And anyway, it took me 5 years to pick myself up, and then I met the second wife. And again, well, I got married to the first wife because she was expecting my first child, and even though I was enjoying my single life at the time, and the same thing again, I was enjoying my single life, but my second wife now was expecting my youngest boy. So again, I was at a beautiful 3-bedroom house in my class here in Pontiats, and I started staying with her a lot, but keeping my house going because I didn't want to live with her. I didn't want to go through what I went through. And she had my youngest boy, and I was looking after him a lot for her to work. And then I was made redundant, and I had all this money. You see, and my first wife was now claiming half of my redundancy money for maintenance because I was paying maintenance for all my 3 children. And my second wife said, you can't let her do this. You need that money. You can marry me, buy my council house, and she can't touch you. And I thought, oh, good idea. Yeah, but what if you throw me out? I told her, and she said, oh, I'm not like that. You're trying to say I'm like your first wife. You don't trust me then, and all that. I do trust you and all. Anyway, I, I, I thought a good idea, and that's what I did. Gave up my house in my Glasgow, married the second wife, bought the council house, and spent all the money doing the house out. Now, within a few months, money had gone. I was on the dole, and then she turns around and says, "Oh, you should always add my children down for my first wife." And now she was saying, "Oh, you can't have them down anymore. I can't afford to feed them because you're out to work and we got no money." Yeah, but my money's gone into the house, I was telling her. And then she turns around and says she wanted to make a will, everything, so everything went to her children or not to my children. And I said, I can't do that to my children. And I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do that will, giving everything to her children. And the biggest mistake I did do with my second wife, I told her about my first wife saying lies, and I said how much that upset me. And I said my first wife used that then to get me out. And this is what the second wife tried to do then. She tried to do the same, but she failed, you see, because I didn't have a solicitor or anything with the first wife, but this time I had a barrister and had a good solicitor. And we went to court with the second wife. She had left me. She was saying I was violent and all that. And she lost the case because the lies, she was getting caught out in so many lies with my barrister, right? And she lost the case. So I won the case. She couldn't get me out. Anyway, I came home that day from court and I was sitting down having a cup of tea. In she comes, kicks me. My feet went in the air. The tea came over me. The cup fell on the floor and broke. And she started kicking me. And I went to phone the police on her. I said to her, look, I'm phoning the police now if you don't stop hitting me. Well, in the end, I went out. I went. My solicitor said, don't go, it's your house. I told my solicitor, I don't care. She's driving me out. She's kicking me. She's throwing things at me. And I became a battered husband, but she again was telling everybody that I was hitting her and so forth. This was crazy. I was going through this a second time now with the second wife. And even though she didn't get away with it with the first wife, although everybody, her friends and things in Trimstown believed her, and they were all having a go at me. I was walking up Garden Suburbs and these blokes were coming on to me and say, hey, you cut it out, you're hitting her, and we'll sort you out and all that. And I was telling them, she's hitting me. Anyway, finally I went and I split up with the second wife. And 10 years later, my youngest boy was 10, and he phones me up on the phone crying, saying that she had hit him. Because she was nasty bit of work in a drink, you see. And what happened, she was making him have in a bath every night, you see. And she'd been drinking, and she went upstairs and found that he hadn't had a bath and he had gone into bed. So she dragged him out of bed and hit the nails out of him. And he was crying on the phone to me the next day because she had gone to work and he was going to go to school, and that was it. I got the social workers onto her. They went out, they stopped hitting him, and that was it. She sent a boyfriend then over to sort me out. He comes over knocking on my door and pointing heads, come out here, I want to sort you out. I had to get the police on him. And the police went over to where she lived and cautioned him and so forth. And then she stops me seeing the youngest boy when he was 10. And now he's not talking to me. Now this is crazy. I got my two eldest and my youngest boy not talking to me. Even though I was the one who went through hell, I was the one who suffered, but they believed, they thought the world of their mothers and they believed their mothers and all. Anyway, this is one hell of an education I've learned about life. And that's why I've been on my own for 30 years. I've met some nice women out there, and I can honestly say they're not the type that would have lied and like my first and second wife. But still, I've been on my own since. I just don't trust any women. And even though I met some nice ones, and even though I know my brothers have got nice wives and all that, well, two of them anyway, And, it's just that I've gone now. I just want to live, well, I have done the last few years, lived a peaceful, quiet life. Because, that feeling of not trust is in with me after when I went through with my first and second wife. It's unbelievable I went through it the second time. But it's the best education I ever had in life. Okay.